My name is Kunal, and welcome to the Geeks of the Valley podcast, where we connect with some of the brightest minds globally who are leading their respective industries today to discuss the hottest upcoming industry trends and how their work is affecting the global economy. Today from Singapore, we have Jeff Lim, the founder and CEO of Bluenest, a PropTech startup that is Rocket Internet backed. Jeff, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you, Kunal. Thank you for the invitation, and really happy to be here today.
Excellent. It's always a pleasure to have guys like you on our podcast, pushing, the forefront of a variety of different talking about PropTech with you today. So, Jeff, just jumping into the first question, how did it all start for you?
Yeah, sure. Maybe let me share a little bit about our history. Started off my career as a realtor when I was back in college. It was really good money, but what I realized is that I can't scale this business as an individual because of the lack of support from agencies. And with digitalization, we all know that the value of an agent will diminish over time. And this is the same across other verticals like banking and insurance, where we have already seen a shift towards automation. Knowing that, I wanted to build a platform where I can connect buyers and sellers directly without agent, but that didn't really work out. Because you're likely to transact only, say, 3 to 4 times in your entire life. And a human interaction is still highly valued, especially so in Asia. Because today you're not talking about e-commerce, where decisions can be made on impulse. Real estate transactions are much more complex, and many parties are involved in the transaction itself. Maybe you can share with you a little, business models that connect buyers and sellers are not really working out. Just to share with you one company, it's called IOTU, a platform in China that connects buyers with individual sellers for secondhand properties in the market. These guys are backed by big names like Temasek and Hill House. They went into liquidation earlier this year. But on the flip side, we see the surge in digital real estate brokerage from success like companies like Redfin, Purple Bricks, and Compass, where these platforms marry the idea of human and technology. So in the same light, Bluenest was created from the idea of solving the market inefficiency, starting from agents. So we built technology to empower agents. Objective is simple. We just want to make real estate transactions and process simpler, faster, and better for everyone.
Mm-hmm. Very interesting, Jeff. Truly very interesting. I really like that point that you touched on in your argument that when looking at, the Asian culture, it's all about relationships. And that kind of goes into why PropTech. What is so unique about it? Is there a difference between the 1.0 and the 2.0? Tell the users listening out there what it's about.
Sure. I think firstly, it's close to me, right? It's where I started my career. It's my passion. I love real estate. I think one of the reasons why is because real estate has a close impact to people. We are talking about houses. We are talking about businesses that solve housing issues. And why PropTech? Because everyone needs a roof over their head, right? I mean, the demand and supply for real estate will always be there. Market is evergreen, but of course, the appetite shifts alongside with the economy, but people still need a place to live in. At the end of the day, there's always a problem to solve. And on a bigger picture, just 2018 itself, close to $4 billion has been invested in PropTech companies. To give you a little bit of history, following the dot-com boom from, I would say, around 2001 to 2007, PropTech 1.0 started off as an online aggregator, where at the point of time, it was really difficult to find real estate information online and nearly impossible to purchase or rent a home. And that's why listing portals like Zillow, Trulia, and it probably grew in Singapore. It started to emerge to bring information online. And today, we are in the age of PropTech 2.0. So alongside with Web 2.0, companies are improving the user experience of renting, buying, selling, and building physical spaces, especially so in the shared economy. I would say that as mature as it is, PropTech still remains highly fragmented. We are seeing many startups targeting the different pain points individually. it is definitely a good sign. But I mean, if you think about it from the user's point of view, don't you think that over time it gets a little bit more confusing as well?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, very true. I do agree with that. And I mean, when I guess overall, right, when looking at the industry, right, there's that 1.0, it went to the 2.0. What are some of the trends you're currently seeing more on a global scale in regard to that?
Yeah, well, that's a good question. So in PropTech 2.0, we have seen startups leveraging on the shared economy and vertical integration to achieve even larger ambitions in both building and management of physical spaces. And what I see here is that the trends moving forward I would call it PropTech 3.0. It's all about aggregation of these services back together. I mean, in other words, it's ready to build an ecosystem. And I mean, today itself, we have already noticed a trend in this. Just earlier this year, Opendoor and Redfin, two of US largest tech-powered real estate companies, have announced a partnership to provide more options to home sellers. So for example, with this partnership, home sellers themselves, they have the opportunity to compare listing their home on the open market with a full service Redfin agent to receiving an instant offer from Opendoor and skipping the process of listing altogether. So what I would say is that, the trend moving forward is definitely about making the experience of buying and selling a home simple and really hassle-free.
Very, very solid point. Okay. And, when it comes to the future of where this technology is going and kind of where you see it on a global scale, right? Bouncing off that idea, do you see any new technological curves coming along the way in regards to PropTech as a whole?
Mm-hmm. So I think, in my opinion, technology will gear towards machine learning and AI, artificial intelligence, to elevate a few things: transparency, efficiency, and better decision making. But more importantly, doing all this at a fraction of the cost. Right? I mean, these are basically the fundamental pain points of homeowners, and that's what we are also building in Bluenest. So our backend system, we automate the mundane and repetitive work of what an agent has to do today, so that they can really fully focus on conversion. And we do this at scale. And so as a result, we are able to do it more efficiently, and we are able to bring down our charges by half of what the market is charging today.
Mm-hmm. And I guess just bouncing off that, is it that you find that you kind of face in today's market when it comes to Asia Pacific as a whole?
Yeah, so not exactly. I think in terms of this market itself, we still see there's plenty of opportunities for us to grow in the market. I mean, like I mentioned earlier, technology is pretty much fragmented. Every company is targeting different fragments, different kind of markets. And in PropTech, I mean, we see that this is not a winner takes all kind of industry. And basically, every company can actually coexist together, and there's plenty of opportunities for one another.
Okay. And just going off that point, there are a lot of up and coming blockchain PropTech focused startups out there, right? Yeah. And they're utilizing blockchain, for example, whether it's the tokenization of certain real estate assets around the world, right? But it helps increase, liquidity for, certain real estate projects out there, as well as gives an opportunity for crowdfunding. And it's tailored to a huge variety of people, whether it's from, the lower class to the middle class to the upper class, right? Mm-hmm. And one of the things that we see out there, right? We see, Harbor is a competitor, Block, Square, Liquify. They have these technological solutions where they're able to tokenize this real estate, right? And do you see you guys ever moving into that industry, utilizing blockchain at all at some point down the line?
Yeah, definitely. I think blockchain is something that we are exploring, but definitely not something at this point of time. I mean, but what I really realized here is that blockchain can be used to build applications like smart contracts and services. I think the whole objective of having blockchain is that it can make more information available, and lead to less error, duplication of entries, less inefficiency, which ultimately then translate to lower costs and better building and city performance. But what I've seen here as well is that blockchain, in blockchain and in PropTech is not quite at the stage at this point of time. Right? Existing blockchain PropTech companies are focused on very niche markets. So, for example, towards investments, REITs, and related target group, and it does not really serve the mass today. So, I think what I've seen here as well is that the issue is that information is not readily accessible. But I do agree that blockchain has huge potential in this complex space. Basically, the entire institution has to change. From the government to real estate developers, and lastly, users, people like us. And maybe to share with you as well, today at Bluenest, we are already leveraging on digital contracts to streamline most of these steps of what is needed in a real estate transaction, while at the same time, really increasing transparency and trust in the real estate market.
Very, very interesting, Jeff, and very solid answer you have there, because I don't disagree at all with what you have to say. There are positives and negatives to the technology, and you do have a very solid point when it comes to, is the technology where it needs to be when it comes to focusing on property technology, right? As well as, these blockchain PropTech focused companies do have a niche. And
yeah,
I guess
exactly.
Exactly. And what I want to do is try to pivot the conversation a little towards you and about you as a person, and what advice you kind of give to CEOs and young entrepreneurs out there, right? And so my first question is to young entrepreneurs that want to jump into the industry, right, Jeff, that have so much difficulty, maybe starting a startup or wanting to choose to go into the corporate world out of college, or going into the startup world. What advice do you have for them out there? Should they go into the corporate world, get 2 years of training, or should they just jump in to a startup if they have a passion and do the best they can with it?
Right, that's a good one. So, I would say go for it, right, really. I think based on experience and, based on what I've heard about, from fellow entrepreneurs, from fellow business owners, the first step is always the toughest, right? The step about, whether I should actually move into starting a company or should I actually move into a MNC. So, what I'll suggest is go for it. Don't be afraid to do so. Why? But, one key advice I would really give is, focus on the problem and not so much on the solutions. I think at the early stage, it would be really good if you can speak with friends, people in the industry to validate the idea. And what I really believe in is that, speed and execution is the key to success. Always keep focused on the problem, and together with a strong team, or strong partners, you should do good. I think with this kind of, with a formula like this, with a good idea, with a good team, you are bound to do good.
Mm-hmm. And what kind of person would you say, based off the points you said, right? Would you say makes a successful entrepreneur today? What skills would you look for, right? When it comes to, let's say you were a venture capitalist, you had a fund and you were investing and looking to invest in a company. What skills would you see in a solid entrepreneur?
Right. Several things. I think beyond skill sets, I think something on the soft skill sides, something on the character sides, we got to see the kind of passion, the kind of fire in entrepreneurs. I think why do I say that? Because end of the day, especially in early stage startups, you're bound to fail many times all over again. But I think what makes a successful entrepreneur different from the rest is how fast you reiterate and how fast you come back from every single failure. And I think through that, you're able to learn from every single mistake and you become stronger, right? And that's something that, we see across many successful entrepreneurs out there. And in terms of skill sets wise, I would say, really, you got to take, entrepreneurs really have to think, out of the box, have to think on a bigger level, right? Because today you could be solving one small problem, but this problem might not be the only problem that you face today. Because end of the day, every single day, you could be looking at new stuff, new problems arising. So you got to look at things on a bigger picture. And I think if you're able to do that, together with the kind of passion, the kind of entrepreneurship, that's the kind of people that I'll be looking out for, right? Even as a I mean, we don't even look at co-founders. You know, I mean, if you're looking at on